And then it was time for the main event. And there's no better way to tee up this match than seeing a shot of Bryan Danielson meditating. And what does this man think of when he's meditating? He thinks about Ring of Honor, Chicago Ridge, Frontier Fieldhouse, Night One. It's Bryan Danielson. And we get shots of some of Danielson's greatest hits, a shot of his dad, a shot of him wrestling Kamala, which is a match that very much exists out there that you can watch. And then we just get all these family footage of his children, of Bree, and just all these different shots of him with his family and stating, I will always choose you. Mm-hmm. And by the end of this, I'm like, who is rooting for this man to not go home to his family?
Well, okay, I think the video...
53,000 people, that was the answer.
I mean, I thought the video was meant to confuse that, John, because I think it was... so he says... So it's like Danielson meditating, like we're trying to, go through his head of what everything's going on, and it's sort of like a chronological progression of his entire career, and he's talking about his love of this thing. And he says, I will always choose you always. Now, the footage shows that it's family. We're presuming that he's referring to his family. But I think by the end, we're realizing that he meant his first love, and that's professional wrestling.
He will always choose wrestling over his family?
Well, maybe for now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the story of the match, John. Is this man having a struggle to choose between his family and choosing the thing that he loves? And tonight, he chose the thing that, his profession that he loves.
Europe plays, and out comes Bryan Danielson, and you had 53,000 people just singing the final countdown, and his family is there in the front row, his daughter, his son, and Bree, and everyone is chanting yes. Jim Ross has joined commentary, explaining that he signed Danielson to his first pro wrestling contract 25 years ago, and then DJ Who Kid asks whose house, and we get Flash Garments and Bun B playing Big Pressure. Out comes, we have Swerve out in his Black Panther attire. And
I don't know if this was Black Panther or not. I mean, it was black and it was gold, but
I mean, he's come out as Killmonger in the past, so I think people were seeing this as
could be
follow-up to that.
But
he turned around. He had also the heads of his past victims all on spikes.
Oh, awesome.
It's quite
Didn't
the
even
visual.
Notice that. And of course, comes out, and for all of his big matches, comes out with the Jimmy Rave robe, which I think is such a lovely, tribute. And it makes him look amazing,
This was the best entrance on the show of anyone. Like Ospreay,
so great.
Even Europe. Like, this to me was my favorite entrance on the show. Like, Swerve just felt like this was just such an awesome entrance. The audience just couldn't help but just be so behind this guy during this entrance. It was so great.
Both entrances I thought were outstanding.
Yeah, this felt like your biggest match of the year. That's what this felt like.
To my knowledge, this is the first time he's premiered this Bun B and West Side Gun remix of his song.
I think so. People were.
I think it's amazing. The atmosphere and the feeling ahead of this main event were so strong, and so much of it because Swerve is such an incredible villain, has become such an incredible villain, and was presented like such a big deal here. And this stipulation surrounding Bryan Danielson having his last match, I felt going into this match very fully convinced that I was about to watch Bryan Danielson's final wrestling match. So it felt like very emotional, very special.
Well, the match begins, and Swerve, as he had promised, he starts trying to dissect Bryan. He's going after the knee, the arm, and then makes his way to the neck. And the first major spot of the match is a Death Valley driver on the edge of the apron after Prince Nana places a ring bell onto the edge where Danielson is dropped. And within 7 minutes, Danielson is leaking blood. And Swerve is asking, why do I need to do this with his family watching? And Swerve pulls Bryan. He got over this very quickly as he yanked Danielson by the wrists over in front of his kids and starts stomping their bloody father right in the head in front of them. And he's getting right into Bree's face as well. How did you feel overall about the usage of the kids here?
I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. Um, I know this is the type of thing that like make people uncomfortable. I have enough trust in their parenting to believe that these two people appropriately told their children about what this is and how nobody's really actually getting hurt. You're here to see dad at work. So feeling I have enough trust there, I was able to appreciate this as part of the show.
Well, they were a big part of the match, obviously.
Yeah.
He continues with a swerve stomp, but Danielson catches him as he's coming down and turns it into a regal stretch, and he starts to fight back with kicks, and they go to the top, and Danielson has decided, you know what? It's time to do a tiger suplex off the top, and he hits Swerve with the tiger suplex. Then he is stomping in Swerve's head, applies cattle mutilation, but Swerve powers to his feet, and you know what Danielson's thinking? You know what? I might need neck surgery. I want to do a vertebraker tonight. So Swerve hits him with the vertebraker, and Dr. Sampson fires himself into the ring to check on Danielson, but Swerve sends them out of the ring as Danielson may be near paralysis here in the ring. So he hits a Swerve stomp. Brian kicks out. Then 2 house calls, and Danielson looks towards his family and says, "I'm sorry." And he reaches out to them as Swerve hits a 3rd house call.
So this to me was like maybe the part of the match that maybe suggested to me the most that opening video was meant to confuse us about whether or not Danielson was talking about I'll always choose you, you know, because I think so. And commentary was suggesting this: is Danielson saying I'm sorry because he's about to lose the match, or is he saying I'm sorry because of what he's about to do? I took it to mean it was Danielson saying, I'm sorry, I'm not choosing you. I'm choosing professional wrestling. And
maybe he should have said I'm sorry right before the tiger suplex off the top rope. Maybe that should have been his apology, because then he was making a clear-cut decision. My neck versus my life.
Oh, he could have done that there too. But I thought this was like an incredibly emotional beat of this match where Danielson was actively telling his family, hey, I can't join you for now. I have to continue my wrestling career.
Maybe he just saw Deadpool.
Deadpool 2, exactly that story. Yeah.
Can't join what's her name in the afterlife.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got work to do. So Deadpool kicks out of the house call, and this is the 3rd one that is hit, and this crowd goes nuts. They all thought this was the end. This is how Bryan Danielson would end his career, extending a hand to his family, which is another like aspect to this whole thing. Like it's one aspect of watching this, and you can hear Danielson's words and you can hear the commentators. You're also working this for 50,000 people that you have to express that without them being able to read your lips or to hear the commentary, and you're trying to get this. And this crowd, like, they went nuts for this near fall. So Brian battles back and he powers to his feet and he's just eating these kicks, and he screams that he loves his family so much, and he fires back with slaps onto Swerve, and he is just swatting this guy with everything. These were some hard ass slaps to come back, and he goes for the Busaiku knee, and Swerve just eats it and brushes it off. It has no effect on him.
This was so awesome.
Oh, this was like not as though like he just stayed on his feet. Like this was though like a gust of wind barely affected him.
This was like Swerve suddenly like turning into Super Saiyan mode that like we didn't even know he had, you know? Like since when did this guy learn the ability to absorb Busaiku knees without any effect? Yeah, it was like the so badass and like so evil and perfect for this match.
He lands another house call, and then he hits big pressure, and Danielson kicks out of that, and this crowd is going nuts. They cannot believe that Danielson has kicked out. So anyone that's going to argue, like, it was the same thing like with the Undertaker streak. It was like, dude, this crowd was totally in the mindset that we might be watching Danielson's last match, because they were losing it here for these near falls. Yeah. Swerve points in the air with the yes chant as Hangman storms the ringside area, tosses Prince Nana aside, and security is out. This distracts Swerve, who turns around and is nailed with the Busaiku. If this had been the finish, I would have been very critical of it, because I thought this would have been like just too much of a I think people would have been very negative to this, but look at this guy. So it's only a near fall, but man, did this crowd bite on
Great
this
false
near
finish.
fall. It was an amazing false finish because everyone bit in a bit for it. They exchange, and then I really like the way they did this because you've now seen Swerve absorb this Busaiku and he was able to eat it. But he goes for this forward roll and Danielson uses Swerve's momentum against him because he rolls and the momentum fires into this follow-up Busaiku and then hits another from behind and applies the label lock. Swerve is fighting the grip when Danielson snaps the fingers, reapplies the submission, and he taps out Swerve at 25 minutes and 59 seconds to become your AEW World Champion.
Mm-hmm. I thought this match was incredible and maybe the most emotional match I've seen this entire year. I really, I guess I can understand why some people would have really disliked this title versus career stipulation because I think they were already so convinced that Danielson was continuing after this. I thought they did such a great job of conveying that this could be Danielson's last match, and it wouldn't have been out of the question for me to suddenly have Danielson retire here and end his career like this abruptly, maybe because of doctor's orders or whatever else. But I came into this match actively convinced that this could be Danielson's last match, and because of that, I watched it like this was Bryan Danielson's last match. When you watch it like that, I mean, every moment was incredibly emotional. Seeing this guy in front of his kids and seeing his kids jump up and down excited that they were seeing their dad, perform on this big stage and cheering like their dad was a superhero, I thought was incredible. I thought the usage of them throughout helped add just such a special element to all of this. I thought Swerve was the most evil Swerve that we've seen. And yet I end up liking him more coming out of this. And I thought this was one of the best Bryan Danielson moments of his career and matches of his career. Just the back and forth was really great. But for me, it was the emotional storytelling elements that I think added to it the most. I loved the opening video suggesting that, hey, this is a battle now between a guy choosing between his family and choosing between continuing his career. And the moment where he looked at his family and said, I'm sorry, I have to choose my career. That's my interpretation. Felt so powerful to me, and I think made this closing moment feel that much more special from your typical professional wrestling match. At this stage in my career, or my life, I should say, I don't just look for great bell to bell action. I look for that, but I look for that extra special element to take it over the top with story, and this match brought that in a big way.
Yeah, I thought this was a terrific main event to cap off this show. I think one of the more memorable matches you're going to have in AEW's history, and a very significant one of it's rare that they do their big title changes with the AEW title, and Danielson winning it for the first time. It guarantees you several more Danielson matches that they set up coming out of this. And then you had the BCC out. I should say the Bastard Combat Club, because it was Sans Moxley, but Claudio, Yuta, they come out, they bring the kids into the ring. Brie is there, and you got the big happy send-off moment at the end of this show. And overall, I think you just left this on such a high for people that I love the Ospreay MJF match. I think this is the match though that people are going to most associate with this show. This was just a really spectacular, well done job. And again, I thought Swerve was just so excellent in the whole lead up to this match. He was great in this match. And listen, you're not going to be able to argue against this closing scene, but man, I could make a really compelling argument of
I was ready
keeping this.
I was ready for Swerve to be the one to retire Bryan Danielson. He was that good.
This guy has only been ascending in this role as champion. You had tons left in the tank with Swerve as champion. I will not be disappointed at all if he gets this title again before the end of the year, but he was fantastic. And I think if not for this Danielson story, I don't think you would even consider taking the title off of him.
Agreed. Yeah. If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.